UI UX, right? For the newcomers, have you heard of UI UX? Which is user interface and user what? Now, the user interface is what you see. Now, the user experience is how dull, how slow, how efficient, how active is that button working. You send, it goes. You are being sent, it receives. Now, that is the experience you have. Now, lots of you can actually say, okay, I'm not using this bank again because each time I send money, it does what? It hangs, right? Now, what you're using, what you're actually having there is not the interface, it's the experience, because you've experienced your money hanging a few times, right? Now, the interface might be beautiful, but the experience might be what? Poor. Then there are those ones that you might not really like how the bank designed their app. It looks, you don't like the color combination, but when you send money, it does what? It goes. So now you're now choosing to use the bank app, not because you like the interface, but because the experience is what? Is good, right? Now, in order for you to combine both the user interface and the user experience, is like you saying they have a very beautiful app and they work, right? Do you understand? So now that is what the front end is about. So we have the design layout, user interaction and feedback, visual effects and animations, and lots of others. I'm actually going to put the notes. Okay, for those of you that have the notes, you see it there, right? Okay, so for time's sake, let's go for the back end. I'll post the note after class for those that don't have it, so you can go through it. Okay, for the back end side, so we have data storage and retrieval, server-side validation and authentication, API integration and data processing, basic logic. So that side is actually where you get the corrections done, you write new codes, you put new frames. You probably, let's say, they'll say, okay, this website, if I try to open it on my phone, it's not working, right? So they might not go and check. JavaScript has a problem. They will now fix it. And they'll tell you, please, can you update? Now, every single person in this hall has an Android phone, right? Every single person has an Android phone, right? So now, each time you open your phone or your Play Store, what do you think they have done? Right. They'll tell you to do what? You should upgrade your what? And each time you go to your phone and then you do upgrade, you now see, sometimes it may not just be the back end. Sometimes they have tweaked a little bit of the interface and you come and open it and it has a new color. Right? And I think it's mostly done in bank apps. If I'm right? You go, then the bank will tell you upgrade. Probably you're trying to use the bank. They tell you slow. They tell you, okay, no, we actually have a new bank app. And then you go to the bank. They'll tell you install this one. Now, once you've installed it, now that is as a result of they have gathered feedbacks from their customers, right? And then they've gotten to discover that okay, it's slow, it's not really working. So they have done a new one. Then you go and be like, I prefer this one, no. Now, in order for you to understand the difference, if you notice, the new application that they're going to give you will be more MB than the other one. Am I right? Yeah. The new one might be 100 and something MB. Probably the previous one used to be like 19 MB or 15 MB. Now, so what do you think makes this new one heavier? It's because they have done a lot of work on both the user interface, user experience, and then they have touched the JavaScript frame to make sure that money does not hang anymore when you send it. Or each time someone tells you, I've sent money, you go to the bank, please, this money is supposed to have dropped by now, and then you're not receiving it. Right? So I've worked on those systems to make sure that you have a better experience. Are we all with me? Is anyone lost? Are you sure? All right. So then we are going to go into the other parts of today, which I believe is actually going to be one of the very most important parts. But this is actually, I'll try as much as I can to make sure that we are carried along, because this particular one is very sensitive. Now, how many of you have heard of JavaScript? How many of you have heard of JavaScript? Only 2 people, and you want to learn JavaScript. Okay. Okay, now for the few of us that have heard of JavaScript, now what we're actually supposed to do next is actually set up text editors and browsers and developers tools. I believe that as an intending programmer or a developer, you need to have tools to work with. You cannot want to be a farmer and then you've not bought your spade and hoes. You don't have your tractor. You don't have your grains to plant, right? Are we all with me? So what we do is that in our first class, we used one of the text editors, which was just the one that is made available for a basic coder on any Windows, which was what? The text document, right? Was what we used, and then we structured our hypertext markup language, then we added our cascading style sheets, right? Yes. Now, if, I'm using the word if, and a very big if, you had your personal laptop. In order for you to use your phone for programming like I do, I use my phone to write codes. But I didn't learn from using my phone to write codes. You need to have your personal laptop. Because you need to download tools like what? We have text editors, you need to download browsers, developer tools, browser extensions, and other tools. They are tools. They are free. They are not paid. But you need those tools. Are you with me? Yes. So in order for us to go through the tools, let's say, okay, let's just go through some of the tools. So we have tools like VS Code. Who has heard of VS Code? VS Code, which is Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code are codes that are being used to write what? To write codes. Is it not obvious? Are you people serious? People should stop whining me now. Visual Studio Codes are codes that are tools that are used to do what? You write codes. Now, why this is actually very essential for you to have is because it doesn't just write just one code like text document does on your home page or on your home screen. Right? You can use, or rather you use that VS Code application to write codes, and at the same time, you can write codes while the website is alive. It's running live. So the very moment you change anything at the back, you change it in front automatically.